Ok, buenas tardes con todos. So good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for the delay. We are gonna start in 1 minute. Yeah, thanks to everyone to be here. Just give us 1 minute to wait a couple of people and we're gonna start. Okay, so I think we can start. So again, welcome to everybody. Let me share full screen the presentation. Okay, so welcome to everybody. We are here as our bi-weekly webinar, from the Green Inclusive and Climate Smart Finance Action Group from the European Microfinance Platform. Today we are going to speak about something very exciting. We have with us Allan, that we're going to introduce in a second from REDCAMIF. The topic, as you know, has been registered, is about promoting green finance in Central America and the Caribbean. Discussing about what are the challenges, what are the lessons learned, and what are the opportunity to move this topic forward. I think we have a sort of unique, a really chance to have REDCAMIF present in that, because who better should know what's happening in Central America rather than the network of Central American and Caribbean financial microfinance institutions. So I think that's a great chance for us. Before giving the floor to Allan discussing about that, let me tell you a couple of words, of why we're here. Some people already follow this webinar series, so probably you already know. But I would just want to take the first couple of minutes to introduce the Green Inclusive and Climate Smart Finance Action Group. Some of you know this is a group that has been founded in 2013 in Berlin. And we are a multi-stakeholder think tank that basically put together various kinds of stakeholders, from researcher to consulting company, investor, IT technologies, international institution network, till financial institution, now expanded to the microfinance institution as well, with more than 19 members now and growing, with representing more than 6 institutions, all focused on the topic on how to make material the green inclusive finance transition. So how to support the inclusive finance sector to be more environmentally friendly, protect better their clients and their institution against the threat like climate change and biodiversity, and do that in such a way that can be as most inclusive as possible to the target population, to try to achieve the social goal everyone has, by the same time building resiliencies to climate change and promoting ecosystem. So Natalia and myself are coordinating the group. There was a change at the last minute, so unfortunately you will have me and not Natalia as a moderator for this session. As you know, our objective is to discuss challenging strategies for the green inclusive finance, enhance knowledge, foster action and cooperation and commitment, develop dedicated tools, and methodology, that all the sector can use, and can adapt to their needs, make publication and disseminate our funding. Various main achievements we have, basically, we work quite a lot in the past and also now with a new activity to develop this green index as a standard for environmental performance assessment for the inclusive finance sector. The first version had been developed in 2014 and then renewed 2016, and now we are, as you see, an ongoing activity developing the third version, and together with the SPTF and series, also developing the 7-dimension for the universal standard for environmental protection. We will have an online library soon, that everyone can have access, where we try together all the publication being academics and non, so grey literature or really academic literature about the topic of green inclusive finance. Everyone will be invited to dedicated events, probably in the next weeks. Yeah, and we'll be invited also to include their publication. Yeah, we are defining and will be probably available by half of this year a state-of-the-art publication. Yeah, where the sector is in green inclusive finance, working on more than 1,000 assessments on environmental performance worldwide collected in the last 10 years. We have this webinar series, as you know. We provide ongoing training. You can ask us, you can get in contact with us if you're interested to get training on in green inclusive finance, on how to assess performance, how to improve, etc. We work about defining the match and supply between the needs of green inclusive finance and the available funds to finance the green inclusive finance sector. So if you want to participate to this exciting journey together with us, yeah, and you want to know more, you want to participate to development of activities, or you want to receive services from the action group, just please contact Joanna here at the mail you find here, and we'll be happy to have a discussion together and to include you. We are inclusive in all sense. Last but not least, yeah, before going to leaving the floor to Allan, so the interesting part of the events, we're organizing a webinar series. Yeah, so the one you are is part of our series of webinar. We normally do this every 2 weeks. Yeah. And the topic is green inclusive finance. Yeah, everyone that has something to tell us is welcome to present. Yeah, we want to share as much as possible all the activity has been done in the green inclusive finance, the lesson learned, the challenge, the problem that's been encountered. Yeah, it could be an experience, it could be a study, it could be a project you may have. Yeah, just please contact us. We want to hear from you, and I believe that the sector wants to hear from you. Voila. All the material will be available online. We are renewing our webpage, so you should know also that's shortly. Yeah, the webpage of the action group will be renewed, and you will find there soon all the links to the video presentation as well as the material for the webinar. Voila. Before leaving the floor to Allan, again, let me restate welcome to everybody. Yeah, welcome to this great event. We are going to speak about green inclusive finance in Central America and Caribbean, and we're going to discuss about experience there, what are the challenges being encountered, what are the challenges to transit to green economy there, and what are the opportunities there. We have the unique opportunity again, let's say, to have Allan, yeah, as responsible of the green activities of REDCAMIF to present us their experience. So Allan, I would like to give you the floor, please.
Okay. Thank you, David. Good morning and good evening to everyone. And also on behalf of REDCAMIF, I would like to thanks for this opportunity to Climate Smart Finance Action Group in order to present what we are doing in terms to promote the green finance approach in the regions, and also what the microfinance institutions are already doing in the regions. So let me please share my my presentation. Okay.
I'm gonna stop sharing mine.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Okay. So what we are going to see in this during these 20 minutes. First, the content is a brief description of what is REDCAMIF, what we are doing, some figures in the region, and so on. The second aspect will be focused on the environmental problems in the regions, and also they have a close relation, or they have a link with climate change and the degradation of natural resources in the regions. The third aspect is the response of the microfinance in order to cope with the climate change and to promote the development of the quality of life of the clients. And the last part are the lessons and challenges that we are consider are to take into account in order to promote the green finance, not just in the region, but at international levels. So what is REDCAMIF? REDCAMIF is a regional network. We have affiliated one microfinance national network for each country from Central America. So we have REDCAMIF in Guatemala, ASOMI in El Salvador, REDMicro in Honduras, ASOMIF in Nicaragua, REDCOM in Costa Rica, REDPAMIF in Panama, and REDOMIF in Dominican Republic. Those national network at the same time, they affiliated 133 microfinance institutions. In this table, you can see the figures of each national network, and you see the total of branches. The client is around 1.5 million of clients in total, where the 58% approximately are women's, and the 49% of the clients are located in the rural areas. The loan portfolio, the total loan portfolio for all the region is almost 2.1 billion million dollars. Okay. This picture, what we can see is the client distribution by economic activities, where commerce is the prevalence, of course. There's in the second place are agriculture and consumptions with 50% each. Housing and service are in the third place with 9%. And the last one is the small industry with 4.2%. So in terms of the regions and the environmental issues in Central America, the region represents less than 1% of the global greenhouse gases emissions. We are considered also as a net capture and store for carbon dioxide and represent 8% of the world biodiversity. But in contrast, at the same time, is one of the most affected areas in the world by the climate change. We see an increase in temperatures and the variability of the summer and winter periods, the intensity and periodicity of hurricane seasons. Also, we will see some example about it, and the degradation of natural resources, which is a combination of the using of bad practice and so on. So this is a danger for the ability of water for human and animal consumptions, the reduction of soil nutrients, and the reduction, of course, of the primary forests. What are the consequences for the rural families who at the same time are the clients for the microfinance institutions? What we can see at the first look is the reduction in income, productivity, increasing their climate, economic, and social vulnerability, the reduction of quality of life, of course, and then the migration. That migration could be from rural to urban areas within the countries, or they move from one country to another country within the regions. A classic example is the peasants from Nicaragua. They usually move permanent or temporal to Costa Rica, and the next steps is to move to the countries in the north. We're talking about United States, Canada, Spain, in the case of Europe, and so on. I would like to watch or to present this picture, because this is very interesting in how the climate change is affecting the regions. These are the quantity or the numbers of meteorological phenomena that occur in the regions in the last 60 or 60 years, we can say. What we can see in the period from 1956 from 1965, the numbers of meteorological phenomena were around A or now, mainly storm, hurricanes, and floods. But in contrast, in the last period, in 2006, 2015, the number practically grow in exponential order. Now we have in that period 140 meteorological phenomena that occur in the regions. One example, where the hurricanes Eta and Iota that affect the last year, the Central America region. Both hurricanes were in category 5, which is the maximum category. They impact in the region almost at the same times. The difference between one hurricane and the other were 5 days, 8 days. The difference was amazing, because we never saw that type of phenomena in the region. The numbers in terms of death is almost 3, well, we have here 2015 deaths, but those numbers are, most of the people say that could be more than 300 deaths in that case. And also 4 million of victims, but victims not in terms we are talking about the people that lost everything, lost houses, lost the workshop, lost the land, lost the places where they go to buy and sell things. They lost everything. And also the national government talk about 2.5 billion in damage, but they just talk about the national infrastructure. We talk about bridges, highway, and so on, but they didn't include the effects of in the workshop for the small and medium micro enterprise, for example. In contrast, we have what we call the dry corridor in Central America, where we have a serious problem in terms of access of water. This area represents 30% of the Central America area. The rain precipitations follows between 30 and 40% in terms to the other areas in the regions. And what we see is an increase in periods of high temperatures and periods without rain. What is the issue? That here we can find 2 million small rural producers in the regions. So under this context, the poorest population, mainly from the rural sector, are the most affected. And also these population are the clients of the microfinance institution. For example, in the dry corridor sector, around what we can see is 256 branches for microfinance institutions. So there is a need, an implicit and explicit demand to deploy actions for the survival of the small and medium enterprise families, urban and rural also, but for the microfinance themselves. So under this premise, REDCAMIF, together with the national network, promotes the concept of the green finance in the regions. In order to promote the green finance, we found in Ada Luxembourg a partner to develop a project with REDCAMIF that was in the period from 2015 from 2020. The object of that project was to accelerate the financial inclusion in the Central America region and the Dominican Republic, incorporating the implementation of innovative financial products in 14 affiliated microfinance institutions. In that case, we're talking about the microfinance or the innovation in financial products related with the rural sector. So the partnership with ADA allow for the development of 4 financial products for the rural sector, with the additionality of what we're looking is not just in order to increase the financial products in the rural area, but also what we want to achieve some sort of positive externality for the environment. So in the case, the products were at the time for the line of credit for environmental productivity, which is a combination of a credit line in order to finance the production of the peasants, but also promoting the implementation of good environmental practices or new technologies into the production process. The second was the financing for renewable energy, mainly focused on the promotion of solar panels. The third one was the rural financial leasing or micro leasing that we call. And the last one is the financing for rural enterprising women. So this is the scheme of how the project works. We have the main actors, REDCAMIF, the national microfinance networks, the microfinance institutions, and the rural families. At the end, the rural families have access to working capital, to access to environmentally friendly productive assets, access to investment in energy efficiency, environmental practices, training, technical assistance, and so on. REDCAMIF provides to all the actors methodologies, financial products, and the systematization process of the experience. Like I said, we count with the to partners with ADA and also with BCE, which is regional banks in the regions, and also SIGSA, which is a second floor private institutions in the regions. What are the experience? We have two, I want to present 2 of the 14 experience of the projects. The first one is the project called Rural Inclusive Finance Project in the Lencan Corridor in Honduras. That was made by Pilar H. from, is a rural microfinance in Honduras. And they implemented the rural financial leasing experience. What are the aspects or the highlights to present? Well, the first one is that REDCAMIF and Red Micro provide technical assistance and support during the adaptation of the microleasing. The microleasing is just, the second part is that focus the pilot in economic activities that they already know, like coffee and livestock. And within those products, also they focus the type of technologies they want to promote. In the case of coffee, where the ecological coffee pulper machines, and in the case of livestock was the food processing machine. So they received a strong support from the board directors, from the Pilar H. This was a key factor, not just because of this project, but I think this is one elemental factor in order to reach success to any type of innovation project that we want to implement in the microfinance institutions. And also another element to highlight is the special training for the staff and clients too, mainly in the use of new technology. This training is not just in terms of how to use the technology. We include in this training all the technical information about the products. We provide, in the case of REDCAMIF and in the case of National Network, we provide technical assistance and training to Pilar H, which include manuals, guides, tools, in order to promote and also to adapt and implement the products into the organizations. Factor was the strategic alliance with suppliers with social mission. This is a key factor mainly in this type of product. In the case of microleasing, it's very, very important to look or find suppliers that they have the same or going in the same way of the organization or the microfinance institution that apply the products. Another item to highlight is the quality staff with knowledge and experience of rural production and social dynamics. The next one is that due to its being a targeted product, not a mass one, because the microleasing is not for everyone. So it is important to choose the branch office having the greatest client potential. So, so here we are talking about to having the right economic potential and the willing to implement and the use and the maintain the new technologies that they have. You know, the microleasing is in fact is a renting process of a technology or an assets. So in this case, the clients knows that the product that they have is under renting process. So they interiorize that this equipment, this technology, they don't belong to him. So they know that they have to have a good use of the machinery, of the technology, and the appropriate maintaining of it during the process. Another aspect to highlight is the special marketing plan, and one of main aspect in the case of Pilar was the adapting the microleasing into the system, not just into the formal system that the microfinance has, but also in terms of to adapt or to interiorize the products for the staff. The other case was Banco Adopen. Banco Adopen is from Dominican Republic. They introduced the green credit as a financial inclusion strategy. in the rural areas where they work. So the elements to highlight is that they develop two financial products. The first one called Ecocrédito Adopen. This product operates as a productive environmental credit. It is intended for farmers who wish to acquire agricultural equipment that use good practices that contribute to respect for the environment. The second product was the Ecolínea Crédito Adopen. This operates as a credit line, and it is intended for agricultural business that use good agricultural practices. In both cases, what the Banco Adopen made was to introduce the concept of the good environmental practices into the productive process. They say to the clients, okay, I will give you the loans that you need to produce, but also at the same time, you have to implement, or I recommend you to implement this or that good environmental practices. Of course, they have to decide, they have to see the condition, if the conditions are adequate to implement the type of good environmental practice that they recommend, and so on. But what I try to highlight is that both financial products include these aspects of good environmental practices. The second element to highlight is this involve a greater learning curve, mainly for the staff, in order, and also to structuring alliance with local organizations and companies, paying particular attention to customers' expectations, involving green financial products, and incorporating the value chains into management and field staff. Other element is that having a technical staff specialized and dynamic in the agricultural sector has accelerated the process of design, monitoring, and implementation of the financial products. This was, in the case of Banco Adopen, a key factor. They have within the staff specialized members of the organization that they have a lot of experience, a lot of expertise, a lot of knowledge about agriculture sector in Dominican Republic, and how to implement and how to change the productive process, including the aspects related with good practices. And the last aspect to highlight is that from the client's perspective, the projects have resulted in a differentiated financial product that supports their livelihoods. And for Adopen, and also for the most of the microfinance institutions that work in Dominican Republic, this was a disruptive and innovative product. Normally, most of the organization that works in the Dominican Republic, or mainly in the rural areas, they provide credit or loans like consumers loans, but no adapted to the needs of the clients, of the rural clients and the rural dynamics. And so in the case of Adopen, they made this change with this pilot, and also they are right now in the process of massification of this experience and including new aspects, more challenging aspects related with the implementation of environmental indicators and so on. This table is, we summarize the result for the Rural Green Finance Program with the 14 microfinance institutions that participate during the program. The implementation of this product, by the way, was in the period 2018-2019. Even though the most of the institutions, they keep doing and are moving to the massification process of the products. So we can see in the first columns, the financial products, like I said, rural women entrepreneurs, energy efficiency, environmental or productive portfolio, and the micro leasings. And the next column is the microfinance that participate in implementing each financial products. And you can see the clients and the low portfolio that we had as a result. In terms of numbers, of course, but in terms of experience and knowledge and expertise was very rich, that the result that we achieved. We have good experience, for example, in the case of Paspire in Dominican Republic, implementing the microleasing in the peri-urban zones with women's, mainly alone women's. And in the case of Procaja, for example, in Panama, implementing the microleasing with a client that doesn't have access to energy at all. So they combine the use of refrigerators with solar panels using the microleasing in these areas. And also the cases of the Fundenuse, for example, in the case of Nicaragua, FIDERPAC, in Costa Rica, implementing the environmental credit line around of zone with around of protection zones in the region and so on. This table is a list that we can get of the type of environmental practices that the institutions provide financial services using those products and the frequency of the loans. The first ones are the windbreak barriers, organic agriculture, water source management, use of solar energy, afforestation or reforestations, soil management, and so on. Also, these practices include a lot of, or a combination of activities, several activities. For example, in the case of afforestation or reforestations, include the implementation of trees around the areas where the livestock lives, or implementing trees around or sources of waters. So it's a combination of activities within each environmental practices. So what are the main lessons that we found implementing this program? First one is a clear definition of the population segment to serve in terms of the social and economic analysis of the farms, and also we have to add the communities as well. We're talking about most of the institutions, they include this approach of the systemic approach in terms of the analysis of with the clients. The second aspect was that not all financial products should be massive. For example, in the case of microleasing is a good example. The clients must have conditions within the farms, but also they have to know and compromise that an adequate use of the technologies of the equipment they have, because those equipment, they don't belong him. The third aspect is the role of the credit staff is a key factor in order to know what are the potential in each farms to implement a good environmental practice, new technologies, and so on. And also to the following process and how to sell, how to sell this new type of innovation in terms of in the financial products. The fourth aspect is the support from the government bodies within the institutions. Some people talk about it, about this, but this aspect, and sometimes is quite common. We have to be clear, it's quite common that we can find barriers within the government bodies inside of the microfinance institution in order to promote or to foster the new innovation that we want to implement. Mainly if we talk with the rural areas. The last one is the institutional alliances and partners. We are talking about a combination of financial service with non-financial service, because the technical aspect and the training and technical assistance to the clients is a main factor in order to succeed the implementation of the practice of good environmental practice that the organization recommend to implement within the units, production units. What are the challenges for the future? First is the inclusion of environmental risk management in the internal external process of microfinance institutions. This, the experience that we have last year with the hurricanes, the dry corridor, even though with the COVID, show that this has to be one of the main elements that we have to talk about in the short terms for the next month. There is a need to implement environmental risk management into the process of the microfinance institutions. The second aspect is the adequate funding condition to support microfinance green initiative. All the organizations that participated in the project, they provide the adequate funding. However, we have to be honest, in the international market, it's quite difficult to find condition or a special condition to support the implementation of good environmental practice, to support change into the microfinance or into the farms, or to implement new technologies or new technologies into the farms. Is the microfinance create some sort of subsidized schemes within the organizations to implement this initiative, but there is a need to find this type of funding. The third aspect is the expanding the offer of financial and non-financial service products and services that lead to certifying the contribution in reducing the carbon footprint of clients. We are talking about that two things. First, that if you want to work in the rural areas and if you want to do something different, you have to include the non-financial aspect into the process, the first one. And the second part is that we have to reach a second step, and that will be the inclusion of elements related with the reducing the carbon footprint for the clients. We're talking about indicators and so on. The other aspect is the use of new technologies to monitor the results and impacts of microfinance actions on families and their productive activities. This is related with the digitalization of financial and non-financial services, and mainly under the context that we already have with the COVID, that limit the capacity from the microfinance institutions to have a close relationship that already made with the clients. Under this context, under these conditions, and is appropriated the use of digital tools to maintain the close relation with the clients. And well, this is briefly the experience of REDCAMIF and the microfinance institution in order to promote the innovation in terms of the rural products, and in order to foster or to promote the green finance approach in the regions. Thank you for your attention, and I am ready for the questions.
Thanks a lot, Allan. Thanks a lot. There's been a lot of material. Of course, you're covering Central America, and very, very, very rich. Thanks a lot for sharing your challenge and experiences, and and suggestion to way forward. So we're gonna take questions from the audience. Before going to that, I just would like to recap, I think, a couple of important things that, of course, has been very clearly stated by Allan, that I would like just to reward with the Green Inclusive Finance and Climate Smart Action Group finance. So we'll be speaking about green finance now, basically for its capacity to at least to attack two key problems. One is about vulnerability. Yeah, we're speaking the example of cyclone, and the dry corridor. So how much clients are affected by droughts, for example, or extreme events. So this is a part about how is the client vulnerable to these climatic events and biodiversity degradation. And the other one is, we were speaking quite a lot, also Allan was saying about this, the CO2 emission, the degradation that the client produce in the local ecosystem. So how much is this activity of the client impacting the ecosystem? So we see that the solution proposed by this experience of REDCAMIF clearly try to attack both problems, to show that the green can be a tool for transformation, not only to make it less polluting, but also to make economy more resilient, as well as society, probably even more important than just economies. The other part I think I've been touching is about indicator monitoring and reporting. That's clearly is key. You were also speaking about funding needs. We have similar experience also from other partners and members. How it's possible to refinance and to expand until it's not clear the indicators, the reporting stream, etc., and it's possible to do it in an efficient way, so that now the various ecosystem knows what it's speaking about, and you can pick. Okay, I want to do that. I would like to achieve that. This is an indicator. How am I financing? How can I progress? That I think is a key item where the action group is clearly focused as well. The other was about the funding. To establish such a thing and then to scale it up. There, from our experience, there is a lot of work also about matching. So say typically what is demanded is not what is supplied, or speaking with different dictionary. So how is possible to match all these kind of funds that are out there, because there are a lot for green transition, with the real and actual needs and operational need for financial institution. And of course the key role about partnership, because we need to install that locally to generate capacities. Now, after this long introduction, I'm gonna take the questions. So there are some questions here in the chat. Let me start from the first one. It's very, very pragmatical. I think it's nice to go really into the operational sense. So you spoke about, Allan, about micro leasings. One simple question is, who was the owner of the asset before? You're leasing that. Who is owning the asset? Is the MFIs? Is the provider who's on the asset?
Yes, thank you. In the case of the micro leasing, okay, the microfinance is the owner, exactly. What is the key aspect of this? It's a combination of everything. I mean, we have the providers, or this provider. They have the contract or the relationship with the microfinance institutions, but also they have to establish a good relation with the clients in order to provide the adequate maintaining of the equipment or of the assets or the technology. The issue in this type of product, in the case of the micro leasing, is that it's not for everyone. First, you have to choose a good client in terms of the I don't know, a client type A. I mean, it's a good client for the microfinance institution, but also he is a very responsible person. I mean, in terms of the use and the appropriate maintain of the equipment that they have, and also because they know that this equipment is renting. He or she is not the owner of the equipment. So in this case, the answer is yes. The micro leasings are the owner of the assets, but the microfinance also establish some conditions in terms of the interest, the price, and so on during the structure of the product, of the financial product.
So is the MFI the owner finally? Right?
Yes. The MFI is the owner of the assets.
Good, thank you. So we have another question, is about goals. So question I think is pretty interesting. Angelica is asking us, do you have, what is your expectation in the region regarding the participation of green products in the total portfolio in the coming years? Is there any goal? So you launched this pilot, you're collecting all this experience. Have you established formally, informally, any goals? Or what do you think should be the percentage of the portfolio, the MFI you're working with, to be classified as green?
Yes, of course. For REDCAMIF is an ideal situation that all microfinance, the 133 microfinance that are part of REDCAMIF, include in their portfolio green products or green financial products. Right now, we are working always with the support of ADA. We are working we can say in a second phase of the project that I just showed. In this, we are trying to introduce some elements related with green indicators with the microfinance institution, but at the same time, we start to collect this year, not, we cannot say green indicator, but we are collecting information related with the types of environmental practices that the microfinance sector are at this moment financing. REDCAMIF has a great database of the sector. We have around 20 years of information about the microfinance sector in the region. You can see around some call that this information in the MIF Index. MIF Index is a web page created by REDCAMIF, and you see all the institutional and indicators information about the sector. So what we want to do this year, we are starting this year, is that collect all this information related with the financing good environmental practice for institutions. And also we are keeping promoting the green finance approach in the regions. Like I said, in this case, with the support or with the partner with Ada from REDCAMIF, from Luxembourg.
Thank you. I think what also Angelica was trying to meant is what is the target you would suggest for the percentage of portfolio of an institution. So you have 130 institutions. How much do you have any target of how much their portfolio should be green? 1%, 2%, 10%. So many the green products. What is the target for each microfinance institution? Is there any discussion along that?
No, we don't see that as a specific percent. I mean, we are not talking about, okay, well, what we want is that in the next 3 years, the microfinance has to be 10% of the loan portfolio has to be in the green activity, financing green activities. No, what we are doing is step by step. Right now is promoting the green finance approach. We are including microfinance that they start to doing something and massify the green finance aspect, and we are moving in that way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So Juan Vega has another interesting question, and is telling us: if there are 4 million of people affected by the last 2 hurricanes, yeah, what can be done to outreach more people than the few thousand that receive credit supports? Perhaps it's a combination, yeah, suggesting about savings, linking to weather index insurance, could be explored in the future because people receive payback as part of the payment in the climate risk not materialized. So question is, I would like to translate it to say, okay, the challenge is so big. Do you find any suggestion in terms of what will be the alchemia, you know, among different support, being insurance, being saving, being specialized credit product that could eventually cover such a big population that is exposed to climate threats?
Yes, that's an interesting question from Don Juan. And yes, also what happened in the last year was challenge the resilience of the microfinance sector, and also the resilience of the small and medium enterprise to foster and to cope the impact of the natural disaster. I think there is a demand for or to promote those products related with insurance, mainly in the rural areas. And also one of the aspects that they can, that microfinance start to talking about is this products or service related with weather index insurance. Also savings is another of the topic that we are talking about. But it's quite complicated. The situation was very complicated for the most of the microfinance. They are trying to rebuild or try to construct again the portfolio to at least to maintain in acceptable conditions in order to then implement or try to use new financial or services and products related with those elements of insurance, savings, and so on. is quite complicated. I mean, Don Juan made a good question, but it's quite difficult to what would be the next steps. Maybe, yes. Okay. No.
Please go ahead if you have a chance. Sorry, Alan, I stopped.
No, just emphasize like Don Juan said, sorry, is that they are talking about saving, they are talking about whether in the insurance, they are talking about risk management and so on. But right now, the focus is try to stabilize the loan portfolio mainly.
Yeah, so no, I think, and then maybe let me add also that, you know, MFIs are not the only actor there, neither the only one to be affected. Yeah? So that's the problem is such a big that this kind of solution is typically require also a sort of a more complex response that go from, you know, the public policies and the various local and international prevention, and also goes toward reducing the intensity of such an effect, of course, because if you're them to grow, it's not important what you're gonna do. Yeah, we keep on growing. So just said that's a multi level problem that should be answered also with a multi-level response. Yeah, both in terms of products, exactly what we're discussing, but also both in the broader context. Yeah, in the context of who are the other actor that should be included into this response, also beyond the microfinance sector, of course. Following up on that, Joanna, I think is a question a bit related to this, saying basically if you can elaborate a bit more on. Sorry, jump at the question. If you can elaborate a bit more on the understanding of the adoption of a possibly systemic approach. Yeah, so it's an approach that is not just on one direction, but more systemic. Yeah, and how it is related to the identification of the priority of the target group for the green finance. So, what is your approach to identify the clients for green finance? Yeah, and how. I think when Johannes referred to systemic, how that's interrelated with the various actors that are in the rural community that interact with this target population.
David, sorry. Hello, David.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hello. Hello, David. I didn't hear the last one, the last part.
The question is if you can comment on your targeting groups for green finance and how that is. Is my audio, is Alan? Can you hear me well, Natalia, or?
Hello, David. Oh my God.
Guys,
I can hear you. I cannot hear you. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Natalia or Camille, can you tell me if you hear me? Yeah, just to know if it is me. Your audio is fine, Davide. Okay, so it's you, I think, Alan.
I'm gonna stop the video to improve, maybe to improve. Hello?
Yes, can you hear me well?
David, hello, I cannot hear you.
Yeah, Alan, I think it's yours. Yeah. Just a second. Yeah, we are. Alan, can you hear us now or still not?
Hello.
We have lost Alan. Alan, yes.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you well, Alan. Yeah, we can hear you, Alan. Okay, so while Alan try to reconnect, and I think we're also getting near to the end. Let me see if there are some questions that can eventually answer with our experience to start with, and if Alan come back, and then we are gonna distribute the question that has not been answered that refer directly to Alan. Yeah, to Alan, so that can come back with you maybe written. Yeah, I can answer you in the written form.
Sorry, David, I can hear you.
And now you can or not? Yeah, Allan, you cannot hear us. Yeah, something happened to your audio. Okay, so we will come back to your question. We're gonna take the question here in the chat. We're gonna distribute to Allan, and we're gonna ask him to kindly provide us his answer, or in written form, or to diffuse with you a small video where it's gonna answer to your question. Yeah. Let me just see if there is something pressing. Just a second. Allan and Davide. Oh, I have a Davide also, so let's see. Yeah, so this is about indicators. Yeah. So I suggest the following, because many are just ready to Allan. So and we are with the time. We are gonna do the following. Yeah, I suggest please pay attention to your chat, to your email. We are gonna send you the answer of Allan in the next days. Yeah, so that we are not gonna lose your question. So we are sorry for this inconvenience. Yeah, there are still some 5 to 6 question to be answered. We are at 5. The presentation as well as the video will be posted in the Green Inclusive and Climate Smart Finance Action Group website. We thanks a lot you all to have participated to this presentation. Yeah, we are very sorry for the issue with the sounds at the end. That's normal. Yeah, this can happen. And we convene you all for the next webinar series that we're gonna let you know when it is, because there is Easter coming. Sorry, I also closed my video, because there is Easter coming, and we will communicate you the exact date to comply with Easter holidays. Yeah. So we wish you a very nice continuation of the afternoon, and meet you in the next event of the series of webinar from the Green Inclusive and Climate Smart Finance Action Group. Again, if someone is interested in our activity, please just contact Joanna. We'll be pleased to get in contact with you and to include each actor that want to cooperate with us to the green inclusive finance transition. Thanks a lot, and sorry again for the last problem.